Hello, Whale Fam, and welcome to the Whale Leadership Series AMA with Justin, one of our moderators who's been here like forever and is super amazing. And I am very excited to be able to ask a lot of the questions that you all have submitted so that way we can get a little bit more insight into who Justin is and what makes him so awesome. Thank you very much, Justin, for volunteering for this month's AMA.
Good morning. Hello, welcome. Whale family, you say?
Yes. And it looks like we've got sound, so that's good. We're checking in the server. And you've already got comments on your avatar, Justin?
Excellent.
Yes. You look so evil.
Yes, the avatar is talking. People think it's an avatar, but it's actually me.
This is Justin. That's where he lives.
Yeah, I'm AI, and this is my home.
Perfect. People knew it. And
Yep.
you were also adventurers once. So
I was, but and then my knee wasn't so good after I took an arrow to it, so
now you hang out and moderate the whale Discord instead.
Yep.
That's not too bad. So let's get into the questions. And I will say we got a lot of really awesome questions from the community. They've had the last couple weeks to submit them. So we filtered through, and as noted, the folks who submitted questions that were chosen will be given 2 whale apiece after the event here. So if you hear your questions, like, yay, be excited. We'll get started though with that. Asking Justin, like, what made you trust in the whale project and the community in the first place? How did you get involved here with whale?
Well, when I came across the server in the first place, I actually thought it was one for whale movements in terms of Bitcoin price and things like that I wanted to follow. And I joined in. It was only a week or so after Maiden Voyage, so unfortunately I missed that label. But I saw what was going on. And I was like, oh, this is perfect, because I'd been waiting forever for that sort of thing to start to come to fruition, because I've been in crypto for a while, and it's really taken a long time to get to the point where we are now.
And so with that, just I guess as a quick overview, like, how do you feel like from that first month of whale to where we're at now? Like, give me a description of like how you're feeling given the absolute growth. Is this something you expected to happen?
Oh, I'm super pumped about what's actually happened. Like, I expected it would sit there and grow substantially, but it's kind of blown well and truly beyond what I was expecting. I mean, for a long time, I think people had really undervalued it, and I saw the value in it, and I was picking up whenever people were selling it, back at 15 cents. And since then, it's just grown a huge amount, and I look forward to what it'll have in the future too.
That is awesome. And so tell us, because you joined shortly after Maiden Voyage, how did you end up becoming a whale moderator?
I think that it was just that I stuck around long enough and I was involved enough in the community, because it was a very seemingly random one time that I had got a message about saying, oh, hey, do you want to sit there and be an ambassador? And I was like, okay, what's that involve? And I jumped on the server and I already had the role. So that slowly kind of morphed from there, speaking about, parts of whale to, really getting my fingers in deep in the pie and being a moderator. So,
And with that, because I think there are a lot of things that you do as a mod that maybe the community is not quite so aware of. So why don't you tell us what you specifically specialize in here in the community? I think it's really exciting.
I feel like I do a lot of. I'm the the general purpose person that kind of can do a bit of anything and a lot of support and the technical side of things. So when people aren't sure why, a blockchain thing isn't working or how something got calculated, that I've got the knowledge and history there to kind of go back through and transactions and things like that and work out things like that. I've done some dev stuff for the bot that we have in here for the back when gas price used to be an issue around withdrawal. That would sit there and ping people when gas would go under 15 back in the old days.
The days of 15 gas.
Yeah, that'll come again soon, I'm sure. The website and just, I guess, general purpose, everything. I tend to sit there and find that I like variety in life, so I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. So having that kind of across the board knowledge is what I guess it appeals to me most.
So I think that's really important for people to know, because for you, we definitely have some moderators who focus more on doing the community events and the interviews, and you are definitely keeping a lot of the behind the scenes, or as you mentioned, those general purpose stability sort of actions running. And I've got the website up, and this is really an awesome thing to have. And we also have Ulet's in chat noting that you encouraged them to mint their very first NFT.
I feel like I've encouraged a few artists that were kind of on the fence and not too sure whether they wanted to, because the only way we're going to grow the community and increase adoption of NFTs is by more and more people getting involved with it. So I hope to encourage many more in the years ahead and see how these artists grow from what they begin as and how it ends up in the long run.
And you also helped get the Whale Kids contract set up, so that way we could start minting the kids NFTs too, right?
Yeah, kids, I guess, are just an extension to that. They're the future, and sit there and give them that confidence and that to understand and believe in themselves and what they do when they're young, and it kind of opens up, the world to them when they become adults. So I think confidence is one of those things. You can't really teach in school. You've got to kind of learn on your own, and by doing something like that, it kind of helps instill that confidence and belief and self-belief in them, and lets them become the best themselves that they can be.
That's amazing. I love that about the community, that pretty much all of the things that we do, and especially as we're moving more toward this educational direction, it's enabling people to really grow as individuals, and that helps the community grow as a whole. It's kind of magical.
Yeah, the community is definitely a big part of what I found and loved about this space. So it's something that's lacking, I guess, in the broader crypto space.
So that's actually something that I think leads into the next community submitted questions. Is asking Grevinator wanted to know, at what point did you start feeling comfortable in the crypto universe when you were like brand new to the space?
To feel really comfortable, probably only last year, with a lot more of the community that's around the NFT space versus the broader crypto space. I've been in crypto for a better part of a decade, and early on, you had a lot of fans of the space and people that believed in it, but not a lot of growth and use case adoption. So there wasn't as much of the community that you can that we kind of have now. And then obviously, as things grow on and money and it started to turn into something that was worth money, then you get scams and things like that pop up. And so for a big part, that was something that I was very wary about. But now I feel like the NFT community is just very different.
And so with that, Are there recommendations that you have for people who are new to the space? Because I know that here in the whale community, or people who are checking it out, do you have recommendations on how they might, get up to speed, or avenues that might make crypto more accessible or more user-friendly to folks who are joining the space?
I think for any newcomer, the biggest advice I'd say is just don't FOMO, because I think that's when people start to sit there and lose. Like when they sit there and buy high and sell low, it's when FOMO kicks in, because they've heard about this new thing and it's like, yes, I got to get it, throw money at it, and it's got to get bigger. But in terms of knowledge and that, I think just hanging around in groups like this server, that there's so many people that have so much information across the board, and you can learn. So, I mean, I've learned so much just being here and learning from others and seeing how other people create their work, how they, what inspires their art, all that sort of thing.
And on community as well, Sweet Memory asked, for communities, like, what's more important for you? Is it the quality of the community members specifically, or the number of community members? Is there, I guess, which do you think makes the most difference if you're looking at projects and kind of getting involved?
If it's something that if you're looking at purely as a financial thing, I think there is some aspect of quantity that's important. But for the broader part, I like the sense of quality in a community, that people are willing to sit there and help people, that people are, willing to dedicate their time to help others, whether that be from, learning how to mint an NFT, or, their wallet gets hacked, or, and, trying to salvage what they can out of that, or, even just things like claiming roles in the server. I think that quality community becomes that point where people sit there and greet, saying, hey whale fam. It's not hey whale channel, whale server. It's people start to see it more as a family. So
I like that. And actually, Spazzy has just popped into chat to note that you were the person that helped him troubleshoot for his first NFT as well, and you've been a ray of sunshine ever since.
I'm glad I was able to help you, Spazzy.
There's so many people. I love this. Everybody who, you have impacted over the last, it's been almost a year that the whale community has been up and running, and that you've been here, and it's amazing having those sort of connections.
Feels like forever, but at the same time, it is amazing. I think it's only been less than a year that this has all been going on. It's come so far from, very small beginnings in comparison to what it is now. It's just, it baffles my mind, the growth of it. So
yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I think that, on the beginning of the journey, like, you're not really sure where it's going to go, but it's far cooler than anything I would have imagined on my own,
Yeah.
And so we have a question from Dab Dragon next, asking, what is your biggest influence in crypto? Which is kind of an open-ended question, but I think that gives us, some ability to explore it a bit. So, biggest influences.
I was going to say that is a really big open question. I take a lot from being a dev and interested in the back end side of things myself. I take a lot from other devs and the fundamentals of the system and the underlying infrastructure and things like that. So one of those super exciting people that hang out on GitHub and check out issues and stuff there, join in other technical discussions. But I just kind of like to sit there and not isolate it down to any single point, because there's value in nearly anywhere you look at the space at the moment. There's always someone that's got something to offer, and every day is a new learning experience for me, and I know for many others as well.
And so on that, because you've noted dev things, let's talk about that for a couple of minutes, because Achitanga has actually mentioned that it was thanks to you that we have the Dev Cafe here in the server. And I think that's really interesting. So, with the dev experience side of things, in the crypto space specifically, is there, what are the things that interest you the most on that end?
A lot of new projects, I guess, and adaptations of existing ones. So, I mean, like I said, I've been in crypto for the better part of a decade, and I feel for a long time it kind of was a bit stagnant, and we didn't move far. And now all of a sudden, I've got these super exciting chains like Flow and Ethereum 2 and things like that that I see having massive potentials of being the foundations of, essentially pretty much everything I can think of in the world, short of, a very small handful of topics. But I mean, I love to sit there and see the day when, a small nation or something decides to move to a DAO infrastructure, and voting's all done on blockchain, and their payments are done with crypto, and everything's just this seamless experience. So and just getting rid of some of the big traditional institutions and being able to replace it with something that's more fair to everyone. So,
That definitely, I think that that's a really awesome use case for crypto, right? Making things more accessible and more fair and improving communities, not just here, in the digital like metaverse space, but actually out in, practical applications in people's physical communities.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's got a huge amount of potential in areas. I see a lot of use case situations that can be used in more third world countries and things like that, where they lack some of the infrastructure and facilities and big institutions, or the accessibility to it at least. And crypto kind of opens that up, because you're taking out all those barriers and middle areas, and it's basically peer-to-peer everything. So there's more fairer money in loaning money to people. There's more fairer return, like when you're borrowing money from people, as opposed to going and sticking it in a bank and getting this tiny amount of interest. You can sit there and put it into a contract that then gets loaned out to someone else at a fair rate, and basically everyone wins. So, except if you're a bank, but that's another avenue that I'd like to sit there and watch slowly crumble over time. In my lifetime, I'd enjoy watching the final bank get demolished.
So now we see how Justin's avatar is very accurate to
Yep.
his beliefs. Confirmation that is Justin.
That is. It's definitely something I wanted to. Where we are now, I expected to kind of see maybe 5 years or something ago, and it's been a bit slower than what I've wanted, but and what I would have hoped. But it's finally getting to that part where it's getting really exciting, even for me again. So
It's very good. So one of the interesting things that in the crypto space, not only do we have the financial aspect, we also have, the NFT aspect, and that's been really taking off recently, because years ago, as you mentioned, you've been here for the better part of a decade at this point, and initially crypto was really just the tokens of the finance side of things. And now we've got NFTs. So could you tell us a bit about the NFTs kind of decoupling from crypto? Is that something that you see, happening? Are there advantages or disadvantages to that?
I see that both as having a link and being its own separate entity as well. So, I mean, I think that a lot of newcomers to the space will be valuing things like that in fiat, and look at the cost of something that was an NFT that was purchased 6 months or something ago in US dollar value, primarily, and comparing to what it is now. But at the same time, you've got the more OGs that will value that in crypto. So I think it kind of treads this line between both. That I definitely see it as a hedge against in a bear market that crypto can sit there, or NFTs can sit there and be independent from crypto. And I guess that's quite evident in the price of whale over the last 3 or 4 days, when a lot of the market's been going downhill and been a little bumpy, and having such a large valuation in the vault in NFTs has allowed us to kind of have that hedge against it.
And I will say, like, that's definitely a really interesting concept, right? That for us, the value stake for whale is, largely in the vault and having these successful NFTs, and a large variety of them as well. The art and the game functionality and the collectibles, like, definitely the span is, pretty massive, and that's nice because not putting, all your eggs in one basket is generally the phrase. But there's also the extra factor, with whales specifically, of the community. Because, as something that Whale Shark has always said, strong community, strong coin. And even, with the whale vault being tied to the coin, there's the extra bit about the community. And I think that, maybe a lot of the new, videos and learning experiences that we've been putting out have maybe also been contributing to that resilience as the crypto markets have been adjusting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a multi-fork. I guess you've got both sides to the coin. In this case, it's the whale one, and yeah, I mean, you've definitely got the assets in the vault that provide a good foundation to that, but the community, the support, the growth, and basically everyone in the space that kind of just contributes, whether that be from an artistic perspective to a technical to, just being in here and talking with others. I mean, there's a huge sense of value that you can't really attach a value to easily. I mean, it's really up to markets to decide that value. And I mean, I couldn't sit there and possibly attach a value to the community side of it. It's almost priceless. But I mean, obviously the markets will do that. But yeah, it's definitely two sides to that coin.
I love that. And actually, to get back though to NFTs, because I definitely took us on a little side journey, but it's important that, being part of the community is recognized as also, the value of the space, having those connections. But NFTs, because those have obviously gained a lot of traction recently. And is that, something that you've expected to happen? And if so, did you expect it to happen this fast?
I actually feel like a lot of it's been slower than I expected. I thought that we'd have a lot more of the tokens and utility and things like that we do now a while ago. So I'm glad that it's finally catching up. I mean, I remember when things like crypto voxels and CryptoKitties and that came into the space, and initially my first thought was, no one's going to sit there and buy that. I mean, what use does it have? But over time, once you start to see some use cases there, it kind of just grows from there. Well, I think once you inspire some sort of growth and use case in one thing, that people will take that inspiration to just create their own projects from there, and then you get that explosion that is the NFT world we're in right now. So
that's pretty awesome, and definitely like having that, explosion of value. People buy into projects early, and that's, kind of one of the interesting things about the whale community here, right? Is there's a lot of projects that, because we have such a diverse community of people, we get the exposure to, I would say, just about everything that's popping up, even if it's just a, hey, I saw this new thing, what do you all think about? It's not generally a decision that we're making on our own anymore, because we have people that, have experience in the space and have, relevant knowledge that can help assess these new projects as they come out. So with that, how do you know that it's, something, a new project is either, something good to buy into, or how do you know when it's time to sell some of these
Um,
holdings?
So buying into a project, I mean, a lot of what I hear about is kind of word of mouth, whether someone mentions it on a server about an upcoming project. I know there's a few people here that have mentioned artists and that interested them, and I kind of looked into them a little more and saw some good opportunity there. To, I guess even just with beginner artists and things like that, kind of seeing the potential or the untapped potential that they have there, and I guess investing early on with something like that I believe in. Sometimes it's a lot of analysis I'll sit there and do, especially if it's a large financial uh, contribution to something. Other times it's just purely to try and help the community. If there's a new artist that's kind of struggling with minting or can't afford gas, just being able to sit there and say, hey, if you do that, I'll buy you the first one that you mint of all those and things like that. I think is I mean, it's not necessarily going to net me a return on a monetary value, but the return that you get, I guess, in sense of community and that it's all about growth. So, uh, inspiring others, I guess, to do that side of things is one avenue of getting growth, but just in a different sense than I guess a lot of people think of in crypto. And as for selling, I've actually only ever sold one NFT. I've mostly just been a holder and accumulator. So the only thing I ever sold was a single Top Shot moment going back a couple of months ago or a month ago. And that's it. So I'm, as far as NFTs go, I'm not too sure when I choose to sell. When I buy them, if it's an art-based thing, I tend to buy something that I like the look of or I like the use case of, because if I never sell it, then I want to be able to keep it and use it myself. And I guess to some degree in the wider crypto that applies as well.
And I think that's a really interesting approach to take. And I will say, like, it's very similar to mine because historically speaking, like, I've got into projects because I thought they were cool, or bought art because it looked good, or because I wanted to support the person who was creating the art.
Yeah,
And that motivation is, definitely, if you're trying to support somebody who's creating, you're not necessarily looking to flip and make a profit. That's not why you're doing the thing.
yeah,
And so
exactly.
having a lot of these, like, that's my collection definitely has been growing in the art space since I joined the whale community. Prior to this, I didn't have nearly as much exposure, but it's been amazing being able to be a part of that. And I think it's interesting that for yours that you've only ever sold a single NFT. And
Yeah,
it was the NBA Top Shot
yeah.
project, which is super, explosive at this point.
Yeah, it was, and I guess that's the thing that made that the easiest to sell, was because out of all the NFTs I've ever bought, that was probably the one that I had no kind of attachment to. I just after about 6 months of lockdown here in Australia, and people were talking about Top Shots, and I don't really follow the NBA too much. And I was bored one night, so I thought, well, I'll just see what this is about. I bought a few packs on my credit card, and yeah, I did not expect it to quite explode the way it did. And it's come a huge way in terms of value from that. And it'll be interesting to see what that does once this is more public and out of its beta phase as well.
And that's something that the community here has been creating a lot of content about as well. I know that we've done a lot of interviews with both the Top Shot team and some of the big, kind of early investors, early adopters, influencers in that space. And the team has now also released some informational videos on how to evaluate, your Top Shot accounts and moments and such. And I think it's definitely an exciting place to be in for, the community and the space, and the Cryptolorians and chat going, yes, we did. Maybe you could hook us up in the Discord with the YouTube link to those resources.
Yep, DC's made some great little quick tips and videos and things there for the community, and definitely if you're not subscribed already, I think go subscribe to the Whale Community YouTube channel, because if you miss any streams at all, you can always catch up on them there.
That's super awesome. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit now, Justin, because I broke down a lot of the community submitted questions into categories. And I'd like to look at some of the more forward-looking questions. So in the crypto space, what do you think is the next big innovation that we haven't seen yet, but you feel like it's on the way or should be on the way?
I think that the metaverse is going to become a bigger thing going forward. I'm not sure which one yet. I have the things I like and dislike about each of them that are in the space at the moment, and there's none that's kind of ticked every box that I think would be the be all and end all. But there's definitely potential there. But overall, Ethereum 2 is something that I'm super bullish on and super pumped about what it can sit there and bring to the space, because every day I'm always seeing complaining about things, even from just gas fees and that moving from a proof of work and the amount of energy it uses and all that sort of thing to a proof of stake. It decentralizes things further, which is one of the big things I believe in the crypto space, is decentralization. And the current thing, especially around things like Bitcoin, have become very centralized. So to be able to sit there and spread that out to basically anyone that can contribute 32 ETH to the system from any part in the world and run it on any sort of grade hardware is a massive improvement that it's going to have from a security perspective, and just it's going to make a massive difference in terms of gas as well, I think. So I'm super excited to see how many more artists are going to mint NFTs and how many more projects are going to be able to deploy their contracts, because they're going to be paying $2,000 to deploy it and not $200,000 because gas is at some stupid price. And once you start to remove that cost barrier, I think is where we're going to see the massive growth that the world needs, and I think will kind of unite people at the same time.
And that definitely, I think, innovation-wise, is going to be massive, as you noted. Like the ability for people to continue, as we had historically with blockchain, being able to do things that traditionally maybe were outside of the financial realm of possibility, or accessibility. Like those are really big things.
Yeah, and cost becomes one of those barriers for so many people around the world. I mean, especially, over the last year with the amount of jobs and things like that lost, cost is important. And if you can sit there and create a, whether that be an NFT or a new project that you've, come up with in your mind, that being able to, or even interacting with DeFi contracts, bringing that barrier down from 20 or $100 down to 20 or 50 cents or something like that, it's going to just allow so much more adoption and be more fair to everyone, so that it's not just the people that have 100,000 in crypto doing trades that they don't care about $50 of gas, but it allows anyone and everyone to become a whale. So
that is super awesome, like having that potential for the space. It's essentially a whole paradigm shift in terms of who can participate,
Exactly.
breaking those barriers is amazing.
And I think that's going to make the one of the biggest differences in the space is when everyone can literally do it because it's that cheap.
That is nice, kind of being able to create your own profits or profit potential. That's huge.
Yeah.
So the next question that someone had asked, this is from Kennard, asking how you find projects or tokens that you're interested in investing in.
Some of that is word of mouth, I guess. I've tried and surround myself with other like-minded people with similarly aligned interests. Other times it's just knowing what sort of projects are up and coming based on public discussion and things like that around them. So sometimes I'm not super early to a project, and I would have liked to have got into it a bit sooner. But there are so many things going on. You'd need a team of 100 people to kind of keep up to date with everything that's going on in the space.
And given your extensive knowledge just from Decryptolorian, so you getting the compliment here as well, but your extensive knowledge, what new projects are out there right now that excite you most?
Definitely Ethereum too. Like I mentioned just before, I see there so many barriers that is going to be able to cross, and not just the Ethereum 2 as the base platform, but everything that gets built upon it afterwards when gas prices and space and that sort of thing aren't as much of an issue. I don't even know what to expect out of the space yet. I mean, we've seen a lot of things from the DeFi space over the last couple of years, and once it gets to the point of interactions with contracts costing cents instead of $50, I don't even know what to expect. I'm super excited to sit there and see what it's going to offer.
That's definitely exciting. And so it sounds like, based on kind of the answers you've given, you're more investment-wise on the token side and looking at the new technologies that are emerging.
Yeah, I'm a lot into the technology. I mean, being a dev and having done that for quite some time, that's what interests me most. But there's definitely some really good innovations coming with NFTs as well. Again, I have no idea what sort of projects other people are cooking up right now that are going to be able to take advantage of it. But I think once we solve the fundamental issue of that cost and the foundation, that we're going to see so many new and cool and exciting projects that just didn't exist before. Whether that be a new metaverse or whether that be I don't know, something that I haven't even dreamed up of yet. It's exciting. So
That most definitely is exciting. So we've got the next kind of set of questions that I have categorized as just for funsies, but they're very important, submitted by the community. And Grevinator wants to know, when you wake up in the morning, do you eat a bowl of I'm awesome and then wash it down with greatness?
good question. And no, I'm not actually I'm one of these people that don't eat anything for breakfast. But if I was to sit there and pick something, that sounds like a fantastic start of the day. But my start of the day most of the time tends to be getting up, and my breakfast is looking at charts and fueling my day from that.
And so I think that Kennard's question actually makes sense for the next one. Wanting to know how much time you are wasting on the sleep.
Nearly nothing. I mean, a couple of hours a day, and that's too much. I mean, I'd love to sit there and not have to worry about those things like sleep, but at the end of the day, I have to do something, and so it's only probably 3 or 4 hours I'd waste on sleep.
And I think that's really evident based on how active you are in the community here. Actually, yesterday I had a meeting with Heather and Anissa where we were talking about, some changes that we were looking at to, some of the whale branding and such. And they mentioned, they were like, okay, well, we need to talk to Justin about the website, but he's probably sleeping. And I was like, I bet you he's not. He's always up.
Yeah,
So
20 plus hours a day, I'm sure you can get me.
power naps are your thing for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you miss out on less that way. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm, at a different end of the world that people often forget about. So I have to try and adapt my sleep schedule to, US time and things like that, which primarily things seem to be focused around. And obviously, I still have my IRL things that I have to sit there and do. So the one solution is no sleep. And like Heather said in the gift just then, it's something that I say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. So
Very nice. And I would say, obviously, disclaimer for everyone, it's important to take care of your health, but also, FOMO is a thing and sleeping sometimes gets in the way of that. So it's definitely something we see in the crypto space a lot with the weird sleep patterns and not wanting
yeah,
to miss out.
I'm not actually sure anyone who is like a big full 8 hour sleeper in the crypto space.
I think that would be a rare thing indeed if we found one.
Yeah.
All right, so next fun question. This is very serious, actually. To Cryptolorian wants to know how you handle having one of the coolest accents on the planet.
Do I have one of the coolest accents on the planet? Uh,
Based on Choina's earlier comment of the sexy man voice, I feel like this is maybe a thing.
Oh, okay. It's the first I guess I've considered that. I've seen a few people mention Nightmare and some of the voiceover he's done for things, and I've definitely seen that you've got a bit of a fan base there as well. I, I haven't found that my accent is that cool, but I guess it's because I've had it all my life. So. And ironically, over here, I don't sound as Aussie as a lot of people, and so a lot of people actually confuse me with having an American accent. So
It's funny, and so you can see the Discord chat, as there are many affirmatives confirming that your accent is good.
yeah,
Take a screenshot of that and save it. Have a folder of things to look at when you need a confidence booster or something.
yeah, that's a good way to look at that.
Yes. All right. So next question. This is actually one that got posed during the during the chat here in Discord. I was asking if you could have one superpower related to the metaverse, what would you have and why?
Ooh. Are we talking like an avatar superpower in a metaverse, or are we talking about just anything that applies to the metaverse?
Ooh, both.
Is
Now
if
it's a two-part question. You got to answer one for each.
Yeah, I think from the avatar side of things, flying. Um, I love that feeling of I guess seeing things from afar and just that freedom that something like flying can offer. So flying is a favorite superpower that I'd sit there and pick there. And from the, I guess, less avatar perspective, it would be foresight to be able to sit there and pick up some of these projects and things before you realize how big they are and what you're missing out on by not getting in earlier, not just from a financial sense, but from the use case of it as well, that you might have missed out on prime land to sit there and build your virtual enterprise or something like that.
Oops. Grevinator says that's the correct answer. And so Dab Dragon has just asked in the chat, what is your dream for the metaverse?
I would have to be something that's very similar to the documentary Ready Player One. I believe that's a documentary that was sent back in time, and that's where I'd love to sit there and see the metaverse in the future, where it's just this all immersive, completely absorbable place where you can go around and do everything that you'd want to do, and with no, I guess, constraints that the physical world offers.
We've had clarification in the chat that this must be your daydream because you don't sleep, so can't possibly dream. But
Yeah.
So then we have, I'm going to have you look at the Discord chat because Choina has provided a triple whammy question. So question one being,
I can see that.
The Aussie rules rugby league. Let me put this on the screen for the stream as well, so that way we're having clarification in what's going on. So we need your answer to these questions, please, Justin.
So, question: Aussie rules, rugby league, rugby union, cricket, or soccer? I'm not much of a person that follows sport to watch it just for the sake of it. I like playing all of those and kind of dabbling in a bit of everything, but I'm not a big fan of watching that sort of thing. And the next, and that makes me feel very un-Aussie, which doesn't help with the next question of VB, Tui's, 4X, or Coopers. I'm not much of a beer drinker either, so I prefer many other alcohol if I'm going to pick something other than beer. And I don't, same with Vegemite, I also don't like Vegemite, so a few Aussie stereotypes / there, but I do still ride to work on a kangaroo, so at least that's in place.
It's probably the most important one anyway.
Exactly. That, and keep tourists safe from drop bears when you see them around. So it's
oh my goodness, the drop bears. These are the things that haunt my nightmares.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, a lot of things in Australia that people I think are concerned of in the wildlife, and drop bears is just one of those.
Very good. We will stay safe. Perhaps we should have NFTs warning of the dangers of drop bears.
Yeah.
You could make a whole series.
Yeah, a 10-part guide to staying safe in Australia. And as for the last question of Lamington, iced Vovo, vanilla slice, or Tim Tam, all of them. There's not really any of them that I don't like, except the fancy Tim Tams. I think they're just going to go back to the originals. The once they start getting fancy and putting all these other jams and things into them, it starts to ruin a classic. You're messing with something that's tried and tested. So classic Tim Tam there.
I feel like that could really be applied to most things, though, right? Like you have something that's classic and awesome, people love it. Why change it?
Exactly. I don't know anyone that sits there and goes, "Oh, I love one of those new, raspberry and cream filled Tim Tams instead of, I don't want no double dip chocolate Tim Tam."
Very good. I like it. So Heather also asked, what's your favorite music to listen to?
I listen to a bit of everything depending on my mood and what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I'll be, if it's in the car with the kids, I'll put on something a little more calming to hopefully keep them calm, so I'm not faced with a whole drive of, are we there yet? When are we there? Other times, other times that when are we there, or are we there yet? When are we there is already happening. So then I tend to put something on a little more dancey and beady, and the kids kind of dance along to that in the car then too. But there's just a very broad range I sit there and listen to. So.
Very nice. And so Justin is very diverse in his music choices, just as he is in the technology and crypto space. So we can take away from this.
My music likes follow my portfolio in diversity. So.
Fantastic. So we've been getting a flood of questions in the chat. I will give you the option of if there are any of them the last couple of minutes that you'd like to answer. We pick your own, because I know we're getting close to the hour mark here.
Yeah, I was going to say there's been so many. I've kind of missed out on a lot of them, but some of them I have no idea. Like DC asked, "Do you watch Auntie Donna?" I have no idea what that is. So, good question from Dab though about do Aussies consider the other side of the world down under or on top? So, I would. I mean, everyone says about Australia being down under, so I kind of see that as not on top, but just the other side of the world. So whatever whatever the opposite of down under is, but that's not on top.
It's a good answer. I like this. So, and Dab Dragon has approved it. He says it's a great answer, and it's always important to be Dab Dragon approved.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I think in closing here, just a couple questions that I think that we should cover. Is there anything actually that we have not asked today that you would like to discuss or share? Things that you were like, oh, I wish you would have asked me, but why didn't you? Here's your chance.
There's a lot of times I'm sitting there and jumping into whether it be Whale Hour or other AMAs that I don't feel like there's a lot of things that I think everyone kind of needs to know, but that I haven't already shared. So, yeah, not too much on that aspect.
All right. So what Justin's saying is that we did a good job asking questions today.
You
High
did.
five, Whale Fam. We have done awesome. So
Everyone gets their cookies today.
Yes, cookies. Do you have any general advice for people to find success in the crypto space, the metaverse? And by success, it's really kind of a whatever that means to you individually, because I think that success can be gauged in a multitude of ways.
I do, and I think that's what I kind of touched on earlier, that I do see it being judged in quite a few different ways. So there's no, and I think that's where the not financial advice that I always sit there and append to every comment kind of applies, because everyone has their reason for being in a space, whether that be just for pure gains or for, the community side of it, or to be able to get a passive income, or to be able to realize their dream of selling art that they've spent a part of their lifetime creating. I don't think there's any one measure for success. It's a very personal thing.
But definitely whatever that means to people is kind of, I guess, how they should be prioritizing their
Exactly.
their goals.
I think just don't lose the sight of why you are doing what you're doing. So if you're in the space because you want to collect some really awesome art, don't just jump into other things that everyone else is, or start grabbing things just to flip it for a profit if that's something that doesn't kind of sit with you. There are so many different avenues in the space to be able to generate an income from creating art or contracts or services, or whether you're flipping something, that there's something for everyone. So my success is don't lose, or my judge of success is don't lose sight of who I am and what I got in for.
That is, I think, the best advice that I've heard definitely today, but probably this week as well. So let's end the interview on that, because I don't know that we can get any better than that here, actually. That was awesome, and if you weren't halfway across the world, I would high five you.
Virtual high five.
Yes, we could do that. I don't know if your avatar's capable, but we could. Oh, yes! We have seen the high five.
Yep.
All right. So with that, then, let's close out this episode of the Leadership AMA series with our moderator, Justin. Thank you, everyone who has joined the event to learn a bit more about Justin and the whale community and the crypto space in general, and support him as he's been an amazing asset to the community and an awesome moderator. It's been really great to work with you over the last 9-10 months. I've been really lucky to be able to do that, and I think that you've had an enormous impact on the success of the community and the individuals therein. So we really appreciate that. Justin, thank you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks whale community for joining in and submitting those questions. It's all part of why I'm here. That I love that sense of community that seems to be lacking in so many other places, and it's really awesome here.
Fantastic. So we will close this out for tonight. We'll be continuing with marbles here in about 20 minutes. So for everybody interested in hanging around for that, we'll do that. And we will see you all later. Thank you so much.
See you then.